Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today we're going to dive into this Columbia Classics 4K box set and take a look at Lawrence of Arabia on 4K Blu-ray. Hey everyone, so thanks for coming back to the channel. If you're new here, please remember to subscribe. Let's try to hit that 50K number by the end of 2020. On this channel, we do 4K reviews and Blu-ray reviews, and today we're checking out a new release. Hasn't actually been released yet to the public as of my review here, but the Columbia Classics Volume 1 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray collection was just announced. I just got it, did an unboxing video which you can check out, and the first title I'm going to take a dive into and review is Lawrence of Arabia. I think this is the one that was most highly requested and the one that most people are looking forward to from this set because it's such a classic movie and it's a great candidate for the 4K format. So we're going to talk about that, the video, the audio, some of the packaging and special features and some interesting things going on with that. And then overall just, let you guys know if it's worth an upgrade, and we'll do each movie from this set individually, but at the end of the day you sort of have to package them all together because right now they're only available as part of this limited edition box set. You cannot get these releases individually as of this time. So Lawrence of Arabia, of course, this is 1962. It won 7 Academy Awards including Best Picture, and it's one of the most well-known movies internationally across the world of all time. It was shot on film and it has been shown on 70mm formats. It was shot in a lot of different ways, but we now have it on 4K Blu-ray, and visually this transfer is right up there with Jaws in 2001 as my favorites that I've ever seen. Now, it's really hard to get good 4K screenshots because I don't have a 4K disc player for my computer, and so sometimes I just use my camera and I'll take pictures of the screen. I did that in a few instances here to show you the level of detail that you get on this picture, but the 4K resolution is really incredible. It makes a huge difference, and the previous Blu-ray was great, but just that uptick in resolution and the new 4K master, they did an incredible job. Grain structure is solid. It is still very apparent. Doesn't look like a whole lot of digital noise reduction was used, if at all. And it's more noticeable in scenes that have, one color backdrops. Like if you're looking at the desert and that's all yellow and then the sky is blue, in the blue sky, you can really start to pick up on some different grain and some impurities and irregularities there. But that's just part of what makes film film. When you have more complex images with more going on, more colors, more detail, it looks very clean and you really can't tell the grains there. So I'm going to pop in a few examples throughout that I just took quickly with my camera. It's hard to kind of tell. You'll notice they're taking obviously off a screen, but that's the best I can give you, but it gives you some idea of what you're working with from a detail perspective. Now for HDR, this does come with HDR10 and Dolby Vision. I viewed it in both formats, and personally, I liked the HDR10 better, but only because I was viewing that on a projector. I firmly believe that Lawrence of Arabia is a movie that should be watched on the large screen, and so watching it on my projector screen was a more enjoyable experience than watching it on the 55-inch Dolby Vision TV. That being said, Dolby Vision is also great, but the experience was just better because of the larger screen, so I'm a little biased and a little partial to that. But the HDR10 and Dolby Vision were very close. I still have a really hard time telling the difference between a Dolby Vision HDR and HDR10. In some ways I think that it's kind of like wine, where if you put a $5 bottle of wine and a $100 bottle of wine next to each other and didn't tell the professional wine taster which was which, they'd probably go 50-50. I feel the same way with HDR10 and Dolby Atmos. Overall, HDR itself is just a massive upgrade, but if you put an HDR10 picture and a Dolby Vision picture next to each other and asked me to tell you which was which, I probably wouldn't get it right. I'd probably go 50-50 as well. So it's just really hard to decipher, and it comes down to personal preference. They're both great, and I'm only going with HDR10 simply because I liked the larger presentation, and my projector only handles HDR10. But if you have a Dolby Vision TV and a larger TV, maybe 80-inch TV, this is going to be a really great presentation for you, and the HDR does add a lot to the image. It definitely helps with just color balance and the color grading, the work they did on this. You know, the Blu-ray again was very, very good. It was a great Blu-ray release, but this does take it to the next step, mostly because of the HDR, but the resolution upgrade is also well worth it. And again, this looks, in my opinion, and this is what 4K is great for, this looks as good as a 35mm print would in many cases. Like, if you got a 35mm print of this movie in your house, you're having a very similar experience to what you're getting on the 4K disc. They did a really great job, and Sony continues to lead the way for 4K releases, in my opinion. With the work they do on the transfers, they're top of the line. They are my favorite major studio that's putting out 4K at this point in time. Now, audio wise, we do have a Dolby Atmos track on this release, which is great. You're also able to listen on Dolby True HD 7.1. There's an English 5.1 DTS HD. There's also a French and Spanish mono track and subtitles for English, French, and Spanish. So, you know, international viewers out there, there are options for you on this release, but just French and Spanish subtitles. But that Dolby Atmos track is really nice. Lawrence of Arabia is well known for its music and its score, and it does have some really exciting action scenes. But you know, it's a 4-hour movie, so there are scenes that are drawn out, and you're kind of like, you know, am I getting full use of the Atmos here? No. And then all of a sudden it'll cut to this great landscape shot, and the score is blasting and the music's going, and the Atmos track just sounds magnificent. I mean, I'm really starting to see with these older movies that the Atmos track really helps the score more than it does any of the sound effects and audio effects like that. Those are great, those are slightly enhanced with Atmos, but having an Atmos track with a score like this, or like Jaws or 2001, I mean, it feels like this is the experience I want, right? I want to be in an old theater watching a 35mm or 70mm print, and I want an orchestra playing in front of me, playing the score live. That's the feeling you get with Atmos. It fills the room with sound, the score is excellent, and the picture quality is amazing. So overall, I mean, you can't go wrong with the True HD 7.1. That's kind of the source of the Atmos. It also has that 5.1 DTS HD, but if you can do Atmos and you can pop this thing on a projector, you're getting as close to a theater experience as I believe you can get in the home with this disc. I'm giving it a rave review. It is excellent. I'm super excited to see what the rest of these look like from the Columbia Classics set, because Lawrence of Arabia has certainly set the bar very, very high. Now, packaging wise, I kind of talked about this in the unboxing, but I'll cover it again here. These releases each have their own slipcover and their own Blu-ray case. So you're not getting like cardboard sleeves or anything like Disney did with Marvel and Star Wars sets. They certainly cheaped out. Sony did not cheap out with this Columbia Classics, which is why, in my book, they're so much better than the Disneys of the world and what Disney's been doing with their box sets. So Disney, take notes. This is how you do a box set. So you've got your slipcover here. It has a quote on the back from Janet Maslin at the New York Times. I'm not sure when this quote's from, but she says, Lawrence of Arabia must be the best film I know. And then when you open it up, you do have some of the original older artwork that you'll see. And then this is where I was a little disappointed. The discs are stacked, and so I actually moved them around because it was kind of odd. When I opened it, the Blu-ray feature was over here, stacked on top of the 4K disc number 2, and the special features Blu-ray was over here, stacked on top of 4K disc number 1. And so I talked about this in the unboxing, but this is spread across 2 4K Blu-ray discs. So about 2.5 hours into the movie, you have to switch over from disc 1 to disc 2 to get the last hour and a half or so. But they are stacked. So feature disc 1 here, I moved it over to the side, and feature disc 2 is underneath it. So there's no rotating swinging arm or anything where you can put another disc, and they could have spread this out. That's my only minor complaint. And then the Blu-ray feature is here as well with the special features disc underneath it. The other kind of weird thing with this is that I got an email from Sony. They had an issue with the special features disc that was sent out to reviewers, having a problem with some missing special features. I do not know if that will be resolved before this hits shelves. We're really close. It hits shelves next week, so I'm not sure they're going to get that figured out in time, but they did say that if you do happen to get the special features disc and it is missing some of the features, they are providing replacements to everybody. I have a replacement on the way, and I'm sure they'll do the same for everybody if they can't change that disc in the retail boxes before they get to stores. So that's just something to note. But overall, you know, stacked discs aren't the best, but 4K discs do not scratch that easily, and Blu-ray discs as well are much more scratch resistant than DVDs. So just be careful when you're handling it. You know, don't spin them on top of each other, don't slam them into the case, and you'll probably be fine. But you may want to think about transferring this to a different 4K case, maybe one that can hold a few more discs if you're concerned about that, or removing the Blu-ray and special features discs and putting them in a separate case so that you can put a 4K disc on each side of this one. Something to think about. But you know, in special features here, ton of stuff. There's Secrets of Arabia, which is a feature-length picture-in-graphics track. That's kind of cool. The 4K disc has an unused international prologue. There's Peter O'Toole revisits Lawrence of Arabia, a making-of documentary, some deleted scenes, Martin Scorsese talking about the movie, Steven Spielberg about the movie, the making of a classic, TV versions from '63 and 1970, interviews with Spielberg, William Friedkin, and Sidney Pollack on the movie, multiple documentaries. I mean, the thing's loaded. New York premiere footage, ad campaigns, and vintage trailers and TV spots. So, I mean, they've covered their bases with special features on this thing, and it is just missing a few, but we will get that replacement disc. So overall, to kickstart off this Columbia Classics review, this is going to take me some time, but I wanted to jump into Lawrence of Arabia because it was the most highly requested. And I'm not disappointed. This is an excellent disc, and this is a disc that belongs in a premium box set like this. Now, would I like to see them do individual releases of this at some point? Yes. I do think it would sell very well on its own, because there are a lot of people. This box set is a little odd, where you have Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Strangelove and Gandhi and you know, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, some really like classic black and white movies, older movies from the 40s and 60s, and then you mix in Jerry Maguire in A League of Their Own, which doesn't really fit. So a lot of people may not want the whole set. I do hope they do individual releases, but if you do get the set, so far we are 5 stars here on the first out of the 6. This is an excellent visual, excellent audio. Everything about it looks and feels exactly as 4K should. And I love seeing these older movies come to the format. Some people don't get it. Some people don't get why I love older movies coming to 4K. But there's something about a movie that was shot in the early 60s popping on your TV and making it look like it's brand new that just is so exciting that you don't get with a movie like Avengers or Kong Skull Island, which, yeah, they look great on 4K, but they look great on Blu-ray too, right? And they look great on every format because they were shot digitally and they're very bright and colorful and new. And when we can take older movies like this and just transform them, that's what gets me the most excited. And I'm very excited about Lawrence of Arabia. This is well worth an upgrade. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, and if you have 4 hours, you're gonna sit down and watch an absolute treat of a 4K disc. So again, I will leave a link to the full box set down in the description if you're interested in buying it. That is the only way to get Lawrence of Arabia right now. So that's the only link I can give you. I will update the video if a standalone release comes, but I know they're not coming anytime soon because the marketing on this box set is very focused on the fact that this is a limited edition and it's the only way to get these movies on 4K. So we'll see how this sells. Maybe a standalone, but right now I'll link to the box set where you guys can pick this one up. But it's a great release. I'm really excited about it, and it is well worth upgrading. So I highly recommend you suggest you check out that set and probably add it to your collection if you can. It's a great set. Check out the unboxing if you need more information on that. But overall, awesome transfer, awesome audio. I can't say enough, and the special features are loaded, so it's a great disc and a great effort by Sony, which just keeps catapulting them to the list of my favorite studios doing 4K right now. Props to them again on another excellent transfer. They've been really blowing me away lately. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, link down in the description. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and check out all the other links down in my description for ways you can support the channel. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if this is your most anticipated, and also let me know which one you want me to do next. I'm going between Mr. Smith, Strangelove, and Gandhi. I want to cover the older movies first. I'm leaning towards Dr. Strangelove to compare to the Criterion, but I'll let you guys decide. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay safe, stay healthy out there. Hopefully next time you see me, maybe the quarantine beard will be a little trimmed back and I'll be able to take a hat off and have a haircut. We'll see what happens, but for now, we're still in full lockdown quarantine effect, slowly reopening. So just stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you have a great rest of your week.